es que la ciencia y comunicación van de la mano. A ver, esto se me dio.
The dual domain is that science and communication goes hand by hand.
El perito tiene un rigor científico. Su saber y su experiencia se basan en el método científico. No es una persona improvisada. Por eso hay claridad en la comunicación. Posee un lenguaje lógico, claro y sencillo. Tiene la capacidad de convencer no por capricho, sino porque sus aportaciones están fundamentadas y son transmisibles a quien no es un experto como un juez.
822-249.
Es la diapositiva que estamos viendo.
Not every specialist can translate their knowledge. An effective expert possesses a dual domain, scientific rigor. Their knowledge and expertise are grounded in the scientific method. They are not improvised. And that's why they have a clear communication. They possess logical, clear, and simple language. They have the ability to persuade not by whim, but because their contributions are and can be conveyed to non-experts.
Tenemos un ejemplo de un genetista. El genetista puede hablar de cómo se construye el ADN.
ये भैया सिग्नल दे दे तुम कर दो लैपटॉप रेडी कर दो
Example of a genetic. The genetist can talk about genes and how RNA is constructed.
इसके बाद अभी डिस्प्ले करना
इसके बाद जस्ट बाद ये वाला
Cuando tú le hablas de ADN o ARN,
मैम उनका पीपीटी
यही है तो अभी हो रहा है हमको टाइम में मिला पहले इंट्रोडक्शन तो उसके बाद इंट्रोडक्शन देगा
तो जैसे ही एंड होगा उसके बाद इंट्रो
But a judge won't understand when you talk
उसके बाद
about
ये वाला आएगा ये हाँ अब सेट कर देना
बाद ये
हाँ
es capaz de poner un ejemplo en el que puede decir que el ADN es un donde está diferente información almacenada por distintas carpetas.
उसके बाद इनका चालू होना है तो इनका भी इंट्रो साथ में करवा दें कि इनका फिर जैसे पीपीटी खत्म होगी उसके बाद इंट्रो
इसके बाद जयंती मैडम
he is able to give an to explain that the DNA is a cabinet where different information is stored, but it does not.
Tenemos el ejemplo de la diapositiva que ve. Todo lo técnico lo tenemos que traducir en un lenguaje sencillo.
Let us return to the example on the slide. We need to explain all the technical details in simple language.
We have our other chairperson, respected Dr. Satya Sai Panda. Sir, please come on stage.
लैपटॉप का देख नहीं मेरे पास
Dice que alguien va a pasar.
नहीं मेरे पास नहीं
Sir, you can continue.
Bueno, ahora sí, podemos continuar.
En esta diapositiva, el desafío, cómo distinguir la ciencia de la pseudociencia en la corte. La justicia no puede permitirse el lujo de la incertidumbre. Requiere un filtro que asegure la fiabilidad y validez de la prueba pericial científica. ¿Qué estándar debe superar un testimonio experto para ser considerado una prueba admisible y confiable?
Now the challenge is how to distinguish science from pseudoscience in court. Justice cannot afford the luxury of uncertainty. It requires a filter that ensures the reliability and validity of scientific expert evidence. What the standard most expert testimony made to be considered admissible and reliable evidence?
Respuesta es un guardián, el estándar Delaware, establecido por la Corte Suprema de los Estados Unidos en el caso Delaware contra Marriott Parsec Ticker. Este estándar transformó la admisibilidad de la prueba científica. El rol del juez actúa como un guardián para filtrar pruebas poco científicas o no confiables antes de que lleguen al jurado. La evolución clave sustituyó el antiguo y más limitado estándar Frey de aceptación general por un enfoque amplio, flexible y riguroso.
The answer is a guardian, the Daubert standard. The U.S. Supreme Court in Daubert versus Merrill Down Pharmaceuticals, this standard transformed the admissibility of science evidence. The role of the judge acts as a gatekeeper to filter out unscientific or unreliable evidence before it reaches the jury. And the key evolution replaced the older and more limited standard of general acceptance with a broader, more flexible and rigorous
La confiabilidad científica son los criterios Daubert, que es un conjunto de factores, no una lista de verificación para evaluar la solidez metodológica de un testimonio pericial. El primero es la verificabilidad y falsabilidad, ya lo hablaba Popper. La segunda, revisión por pares y publicación. 3, tasa de error conocida. 4, estándares de control. Y 5, aceptación general. La primera, la teoría puede ser probada. La segunda, ha sido examinada por la comunidad científica. La tercera, ¿cuál es su margen de error? La cuarta, ¿existen y se aplican protocolos para su operación? 5, ¿es reconocida en su campo relevante?
So for this, we have the 5 pillars of scientific reliability, the Daubert criteria. This is a set of factors, not a checklist, used to evaluate the methodological soundness of expert testimony. The first one is testability and plausibility. Can the theory be tested? 2. Peer review and publication. Has it been examined by the scientific community? 3. Known error rate. What is its margin of error? 4. Standards and controls. Are there established and applied protocols governing its operation? 5. General acceptance. Is it recognized within the relevant field?
La primera, que es la verificabilidad y falsabilidad. Esto es de Popper. La teoría o técnica puede ser puesta a prueba empírica y crucialmente ser refutada. El fundamento filosófico, este criterio se alinea directamente con el principio de falsabilidad de Karl Popper. Una afirmación que no puede ser refutada no pertenece al ámbito de la ciencia. Implicación práctica. Exige que la hipótesis del perito se base en un método que pueda ser contrastado y validado. No es una convicción subjetiva.
Now we'll be explaining the first one, that is verifiability and falsifiability. The physiological foundation, this criteria aligns directly with Karl Popper's principle of possibility. A claim that cannot be refuted does not belong to the realm of science. The scientific implication of this is that it requires that the expert's hypothesis be based on a method that can be tested and validated, not a subjective belief.
अरे शुभम चेहरे से नहीं पहचान पा रहा हूँ कितने नवीन बता मेरे को याद बदल गया ना पहले बहुत बाल बड़े थे थोड़ा ये अभी पता है से बोल गया क्या
अच्छा कितना से रखी थी ये तो
नहीं
उसको
नहीं
देखो आई थी
मिल सकती है नंबरिंग करके कि कब क्या
एक दो है उनके देख
नहीं नंबरिंग करके हम इजी हो गया
ठीक है
ट्राई कीजिए अगर क्योंकि पजल सर फ्री में है हाथ में रहते तो थोड़ा इजी होता
Listen, कुछ इम्पोर्टेंट चल रहा है।
वही मैम लिस्ट फॉर्म का नाम लिख पता चलता है फॉर्म
So, given the longer description has been presented,
Artist,
it remains an important factor.
to felicitate Dr. Satyasai Panda sir. Satyasai Panda sir is senior, right? To felicitate him, Dr. R.K. Goria. BS, MBBS, PhD, DEF. Oh, senior sir.
बोलो वो मीटिंग
will felicitate sir है ना
स्टार्ट हो गया वो सबको बोल
हाँ मैम एंड वो will felicitate us इसको
खुद सीनियर्स
कौन सी मैम
एक बार चेक करना बस
सर
एयरफोन
जहाँ
Yeah.
असिस्टेंट
देख
LNM
लेना क्या आ गया चेक एक मिनट इधर इधर
डॉक्टर?
पीपीटी का नाम है
अफसर जहाँ सबका
अफसर जहाँ ना
उसके बारे में
associate professor L C
हाँ
इसको HOD ऐड कर लिख लो
जी मैम
sir if you have questions regarding sir
साइड में साइड
yeah what is
डिस्प्ले कर वो
So much, sir, for such wonderful insight.
ma'am wait a minute
एलईडी वाला बैठा है वो करेगा
This mic is not working. काट देंगे चलो Thank you very much, Dr. Victor Goodraj, President of CLIPS Mexico. It's a very good presentation on our allied
un momento.
I now our second speaker for today is Dr. Giuseppina Sipini from Italy.
Yes, Dr. Josephina, welcome back. So, we introduce Dr. Josephina. Dr. Josephina is one of the now founder member of the CLAFINS and is vice president of the Forum Flex Association. This association is working very hard and there's lots of things in it. And you can visit the website for more details. So, Dr. Josephina, please go ahead.
So our second speaker online is Dr. Giuseppina Sapni. He is a criminologist. He is a forensic analyst and lecturer in criminology. He is an adjunct professor of nursing and midwifery sciences in Turin. He is also a vice president of GLI FMS Italy. He is a vice president of Worldwide Association of Women Forensic Experts. He is a member editorial board of 4 forensic nursing journals. He is an honorary member of GLIFMS, Global Academy of Forensic and Investigation, Medicine and Search. Her expert spans over is a gender-based violence and international urban security, research and scientific evidence, victim advocacy and bioethics, psychological health and armed forces. He has earned big takeaways from the session. He is a criminologist. So, Dr. Giuseppina, start your talk online. You are welcome in this GLFMS on 26th at Medical College, Khandwa. You are welcome to start your online speech.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yes,
Can you share?
Okay. Thank you so much. Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for introducing myself. At first, I want to thank all the organizers, and I'm so glad to be here in this prestigious conference. Now I'm going to share my presentation.
आप कितने देर में
I'm going to share my screen.
हाँ हाँ ठीक है। व्हाट्सएप फिर इधर यूट्यूब लाइव सर
Can you see my presentation?
कौन कर रहे हैं? हाँ तो हो जाएगा ना स्पॉट लाइटिंग
Yes, ma'am. Keep this in
Okay.
slide report.
आएगा और साइड में व्यू
Okay.
ऑप्शन है उसमें फुल
Thank you so much.
आएगा
One.
साइड में
And let's talk about
रिव्यू स्टैंड
research ethics in criminology and especially about
स्क्रीन करके
the ethical implication related with the use with innovative technologies, especially AI inside forensic science in medical justice, also in the forensic science file. This is my disclosure. Overview about my presentation. I'm going to talk about research process, and the integrity, the value related with this process. I'm going to talk about the responsibilities and the general responsibility related to this process and also related to criminology researches and also to the ethical implication about the use of the innovative technologies. at the end, the conclusion of my presentation. But scientific research, what does it mean? Well, all of us knows what is this particular concept. Well, scientific research is a systematic process of steps used to collect and analyze information to increase our understanding of a topic or issue. And inside this process, there are different values, different ethical principles, the professional duties, and the standard upon which responsible and proper conduct is based, both for those who carry out, fund, or evaluate scientific research, and also for the institutions that promote and implement it. It's so important to remember that there are also particular principles that interest different phases of the research process. These principles are dignity, responsibility, equity, fairness, diligence, and every researcher must pay attention to the principles inside every single phases of the research process, in every single step: design, planning, conduct, implementation, publication, dissemination, evaluation. But even criminology researchers is also a particular responsibility inside the research projects. General responsibility, but also a specific responsibility. What about the general responsibility? Well, maintain and update professional competence. For example, criminology researchers should engage in ongoing learning rather than treating their training as complete. This includes regularly reading scientific articles, research reports, and also ethics guidelines, attended conferences, workshops, and training events, for example, and also participating in professional networks. The goal is to remain aware of new theories, methods, technologies, and also ethical debates that may affect how research is designed, conducted, and communicated. Continuous updating is not optional. It is a part of the responsibility to produce very relevant and ethical sound knowledge. Safeguard integrity and professional standard, another kind of general responsibility. Well, researchers should be attentive to any circumstances that might undermine their independence, judgment, or ethical behavior. For example, conflicts of interest, institutional pressure, funding constraints, or personal biases. Safeguarding integrity means recognizing this risk early and taking steps to manage or remove them, such as declaring conflicts, seeking advice, or refusing inappropriate requests. It also involves adhering to professional codes of conduct, being honest about limitation, resisting practice that could compromise the quality of credibility of research. Pursue continuous development. Well, beyond informal criminology researchers should actively seek opportunities to deepen and broaden their expertise. This may include acquiring new methodological skill, learning about emerging fields, or strengthening soft skills such as communication, supervision, and project management. Continuous development also means reflecting on what to improve them. This is essential for maintain high standard over the course of our career. Represent expertise accurately. Well, researchers must be honest about what they know and also what they do not know. They should not present themselves as experts in areas institution and also the justice system from relying on unfounded or overstated claims. It's also important to preserve credibility of the discipline and prevent the dilution of professional standard. Correct misrepresentation. Well, what about this particular kind of responsibility? Well, when researchers' work, qualification, or views are misrepresented by institution, media, colleagues, or others, they have a responsibility to intervene and correct the record as far as reasonably possible. This may involve clarifying statement, issuing correction, or requesting amendment to documents or communication, for example. The aim is not personal image or management, but the protection of scientific accuracy, ethical integrity, and public trust. Allowing misrepresentation to stand can contribute to misinformation and undermine confidence in criminal research. Another important aspect, complying with relevant laws and regulations. Researchers must be aware of any compliance with the legal frameworks that govern their work. And this is an important aspect, such as data protection laws, human rights legislation, copyright rules, and regulation research with human participants. Compliance includes obtaining appropriate approvals, ensuring lawful data collection and storage, and respecting the rights and dignity of participants. Legal compliance is not merely a bureaucratic requirement, it is a core component of ethical research practice and a safeguard for both participants and researcher. What about the respect broader ethical obligation? Beyond specific rules and procedures, criminology researchers should act in line with the broader ethical principles that underpin their discipline, such as respect for person, justice, beneficence, and normal ethics, and of course. This means considering the potential impact of research on individuals, community, and especially the institution, being attentive to power imbalances too, and striving to avoid harm while promoting fairness and social responsibility. It also involves engaging with ongoing ethical debates in criminology and being willing to question one's own assumptions and practices in light of new insight. There are also, when I mentioned at first, particular kind of responsibility towards particular context or subjects. Responsibility towards the discipline of criminology. Well, researchers have a fundamental obligation to contribute to the growth, credibility, and ethical standing of criminology as a scientific field. This includes actively promoting the advancement of knowledge through rigorous inquiry and ensuring that criminological research remains open, independent, and intellectually honest. Safeguarding scientific freedom means resisting contractually or institutional pressure that might restrict the publication of findings or compromised methodological integrity. The researchers are also expected to maintain transparency by making their methods, data interpretation, and conclusion accessible for scholarly debate and peer review. In doing so, they help strengthen the cumulative knowledge base and uphold its scientific legitimacy. Another type of responsibility towards colleagues. Well, professional relationship within the research community must be grounded in fairness, respect, and accountability. Researchers are expected to acknowledge the contribution of colleagues, especially early scholars, ensuring that credit, authorship, and recognition are allocated appropriately and without exploitation. Supporting colleagues also mean fostering their professional development through mentorship, training opportunities, and a safe working environment. Ethical collaboration requires avoiding any form of intellectual occupation and maintaining rigorous standard of citation attribution. Furthermore, researchers must be actively promote equality, challenging discriminatory behavior, and also avoid reinforcing stereotypes or biases in their professional interaction and scientific output.
Nobody is downloading now.
We can also have other kind gravity bias and participant self-censorship. Narratives become more institutionally acceptable. This produces epistemic blind spots around violence, abuse, and corruption. Again, need for advanced protection protocols, encryption, data minimization, and non-identifiable data collection, multi-layered security protocols. Again, we have also a confidentiality trilemma to medical justice. In a medical justice framework, confidentiality is not simply a privacy safeguard, but a really structural protection that enable vulnerable individuals to speak or of institutional recreation. When criminological research adopts limited confidentiality, the burden of disclosure falls disproportionately on participants who already experience surveillance, stigma, and restricted autonomy, for example. Always inside medical justice, structural inequity and power asymmetries. Medical justice highlights how institutional roles can deepen inequities by placing greater risk on those with less power, for example. In criminal research, exception to confidentiality operate within environments such as prison, where participants cannot freely refuse, negotiate, or protect themselves. Legal vulnerability and structural violence. Medical justice scholar describes structural violence as harm produced by institutional arrangements rather than direct action. The absence of academic privilege exposes both research and participants to legal coercion in a particular case. Another aspect, due to warn and equal distribution of risk. In medical justice system, the duty to warn is recognized as ethical fraud because it may protect parties while harming already vulnerable patients. And applied to criminological research, this aspect, this principle risks shifting researchers' role from protector to institutional agent, especially in carceral correctional setting. Always in medical justice, epistemic injustice and silencing of vulnerable voices. Medical justice emphasizes that inequitable system distort not only care but also knowledge production, silencing those most affected by structural harm. In criminological research, the threat of disclosure produced self-censorship, social ideological bias, and avoidance of sensitive topics such as institutional violence and corruption. Justice-oriented confidentiality as ethical imperative. American justice perspective reframes confidentiality as a justice-enhancing practice essential for protecting dignity, autonomy, and equity, a very important aspect for subject in the research process. For criminological research, this means designing confidentiality protocols that minimize structural harm, reduce exposure to institutional coercion, and safeguard the voices of participants who face economic vulnerability. But what about the ethical implication of innovative technology and especially artificial intelligence and its use inside forensic science or inside the medical justice system? But at first, what is AI? What does it mean? Well, Artificial intelligence refers to systems designed by humans that, given a complex goal, act in the physical or digital world by perceiving their environment, interpreting the collected structured or unstructured data, reasoning on the knowledge derived from this data, and deciding the best action to take according to predefined parameters to achieve the given goal. Learn that their behavior by analyzing how environment is affected by their previous action. Is always obviously a scientific discipline. This kind of discipline may use different approach, different techniques. Machine learning, machine reasoning, and also robotics is also another important aspect. Obviously, there are ethics principles related to the use of AI. Transparency, fairness, and justice, responsibility and accountability, non-maleficence, privacy, beneficence, freedom and autonomy, solidarity, sustainability, and trust. When we talk about ethical implication on ethical issue, we're talking about particular aspect. Generally, this issue refers to the morally bad things or problematic outcomes that need to be addressed. Many ethical issues such as lack of transparency, privacy and accountability, bias and discrimination, safety and security problems, the potential for criminal and malicious use. We can also find different categorization about this ethical issue. Categorization based on features of AI, human factor and social impact. Categorization based on human, categorization based on algorithm data applications and long-term and indirect ethical risk, and at the end, categorization based on deployment of AI. Then we can find also particular application and particular impact of use of innovative technology of and also of EA in a particular context. To predict who will commit a specific crime, and also the research process that can be used inside this particular context must be pay attention also to the ethical implication related to this system. Judicial decision making and the automatic decision system to attempt to settle disputes but also to prevent them and resolve disputes. We can find different use of innovative technology. Automated systems that rely on the ability to analyze the huge amounts of data and any setup device that can use game theory, positive outcome analysis, and negotiation strategy to solve certain kind of situation. Even if they are not specifically designed to be discriminatory, the use of AI-based algorithms has been shown in some cases to favor deterministic theories at the expense of theories of individualization of punishment. And this is a particular aspect to pay attention also in the field of the research process. Other critical issue, the fact that the most frequently used means of evidence in the criminal trial for fact finding is testimony, and the computer will not be able to judge whether it is true or false or even represent. Furthermore, the criteria for evaluating evidence are different and non-predetermined, and this, especially in particular circumstantial trial, will make it even more complicated for an algorithm to determine whether it is serious, precise, and concordant with the evidence. This is in the field of research is another important aspect to observe. Predictive algorithm, instruments that actuarial assessment of criminal dangerousness, which predict criminal dangerousness through an analysis of risk factors involved in criminal behavior. Artificial intelligence tools that commit crimes, this is possible. With artificial intelligence and in complex algorithms, the structure is non-completely heterodeterminate. They are no longer in their entire preset and non-susceptible to change, but open to structural self-modification as behavior accordingly, adapting it to new inputs, and AI can also learn from the experience of its peers. Then we have also another particular situation, another particular ethical implication related to the personal data, always related to the use of artificial intelligence and innovative technology. Regulate the condition under which the exclusive use of a decision based on automatic processing of data and information is permitted is really so important. Individuals have the right not to be subjected to a decision based solely on automatic processing of their data, starting with profiling, which is likely to produce legal effects concerning them or which similarly affects them sustainability. Defining the purpose of processing, this is so important. Inform about the use of AI technology, collect consent to automatic processing and profiling, determine the legal basis, assess the impact of the use of AI or other innovative technology on individuals, give a full and complete overview and how the technology works in order to identify its reason and criteria, intervene in the case of violation of rights of data subject, communicate and inform in the event of data breach. This is aspect to pay attention also when we use AI or innovative technology in the research process. Protection of natural person with regard is another important aspect to the processing of personal data by competent authorities for the purpose of prevention, detection, and prosecution of crimes or execution of punishment. Protection of the rights and freedoms of individuals. Do not allow automatic processing of personal data if it undermines or threatens the personal identity of a citizen. Keep personal data descending from facts distinct from those representing inferences, and pay attention to the accuracy of the data processing and the security of the system. To conclude my presentation, well, In the current medical, legal, and technological landscape, criminological research must evolve behind traditional procedural ethics and embrace a broader, more reflexive understanding of responsibility. Historical abuses in prisoner, for example, and medical research remind us that ethical safeguards emerge to protect dignity and autonomy, and these principles remain essential as research navigate environment shaped by institutional power, digital surveillance, and algorithmic decision making. Medical law enforces this responsibility by imposing strict requirements on consent, for example, confidentiality, data protection, and handling of biometric and genetic information, where research and clinical governance increasingly overlap. At the same time, the rapid integration of artificial intelligence and innovative technology through the forensic science introduce new ethical implication, new ethical tension, predictive algorithms, biometric classifiers, and opaque black box, for example, amplifying bias in a particular case, undermine due process, and eroding the transparency required by both scientific integrity and legal standards, ensuring meaningful human oversight, explainability, and compliance with, now I refer to national and European law, GDPR and the UI Act, become essential to prevent technological tools from compromising fundamental rights. Looking ahead, criminological research must cultivate a forward-looking ethical mindset, rethinking informed consent in digital ecosystem.
Hello.
It's so important to have an ecosystem approach, addressing the growing authority of algorithmic outputs and anticipating long-term risks associated with data permanence and re-identification. The discipline must also strengthen its role in shaping responsible innovation, ensuring that technological progress support, not replace, never replace, critical judgment, fairness, and human dignity. Ultimately, the legitimacy of criminological research in the medical legal age will depend on its ability to integrate ethical reflexivity with technological literacy, safeguarding both scientific rigor and the right of those whose lives and liberties are most affected. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, madam, for your enlightening and very wonderful talk on criminology, forensic, and advocacy. So we once again thank Dr. Seema Sutay for his enlightening us on the criminology. Any questions open to the house? The big takeaway home message from the sessions are understanding criminology complex, perspective beyond the simplified, insights on gender biased violence, bioethics and research, navigating gender violence and ethical leadership, and a real work impact of forensic nursing. Thank you, madam.
Now we move ahead with the next lecture of the session. The next speaker is respected Dr. Jayanti Yadav ma'am, professor at AIMS Bhopal. May I request our chairperson to introduce ma'am.
So our next speaker is Professor Dr. Jayanti Yadav. He will be talking on the forensic proteomics, a new frontier in estimating time since death. Dr. Jayanti Yadav is a professor, Department of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology at AIMS Bhopal. So, madam, start with your talk. You are welcome in this GLIPS Conference 2026. Imran Sabri.
Yeah, can you run my PPT, please?
Yes, ma'am, you are
Yes,
audible.
ma'am, you.
So can you run my PPT that I have shared?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Video I am.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the volume is not clear there. You can put on the volume.
Yeah, it's
Just wait a moment, ma'am. We'll just share your PPT.
Yeah.
वीडियो मेरे पास पीपीटी नहीं थी इसीलिए मैम मैं फजील सर को एज अ वॉलंटियर
We have to mute. On mute. Please on mute. Please unmute your screen.
अच्छा अच्छा अभी वो वापस स्क्रीन खोल नीचे दिखा रहा है ओके
You can just unmute this. This is mute.
right
How it
वीडियो वही Live में mute हो। YouTube live में YouTube में Right. Right. No, completely. नहीं कर सकता।
एक लैपटॉप
मैंने करना कि क्योंकि मैं एडिटोर इस
दिक्कत नहीं है।
भी थोड़ा हुआ था कर दिया भी किसी को बैठाने का चला नहीं मेरे हाथ में नहीं लगा
इंग्लिश वाई का नंबर तो नीचे मिले था तेरे को।
हर एक चीज कैसे नहीं इसको भी देखना है
इंग्लिश वाई का नंबर भी नीचे मिले था।
इंग्लिश में क्या नहीं
मैं आगे मीटिंग चला रहा हूँ तो वाईफाई हो जाएगा। निकाल 2 मिनट के लिए निकाल।
लगेगा नहीं हो तो फजील सर को देखिए सर फजील सर को कोई सर ने दी थी तो पीपीटी कॉपी करके रिटर्न कर दी मैं तो रहा था
Many researches has been done in Western countries, and as you can see, Shall I continue from here?
Yes.
You want me to continue from here?
Hello.
Hello?
1 second, ma'am. 1 second.
The voice is not reaching in the recording version. Shall I continue live from my side?
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
take another 10
Yes,
minutes.
ma'am, you can continue.
Okay, then shall I share my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
I will share my screen.
Sorry for 2 minutes break. As has been ordered from Central Ministry, 2 minutes silence should be followed because of the Shahid and we have to mourn for 2 minutes. So I request everybody to stand and be silent for 2 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you all for cooperation, and we will resume with our sessions. Continue.
I'm able to share my screen. If you allow me to share my screen, you have to log out and then I will share my screen.
Ma'am, you are a co-host. You can share your screen.
No, I'm not able to. Not showing.
Post, ma'am.
Want to play from your side? I will just give my commentary. That can be done.
Yeah, that
Is
can
it possible?
This video. Play this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Thanks. Yes.
So go back to the previous slide, please.
Go back to the previous slide. थोड़ा पीछे कर. This is video.
This one in the set. Yeah, this. Yeah, so in this, I was just basically showing you what the how much the progress of the study of proteomics has been done so far. So mostly the literature available is you can see almost 50% of the studies has been done in humans also, and but most of the studies have been done in other organisms like rat, pigs, and mouse. But human studies are increasing day by day in the research field regarding the proteomics, use of proteomics in time system. The methods used are mainly the Western blot because Western blot is one very one method which gives a very good results and it's cheap also. So that is why Western blot is one of the preferred methods which is used and commonly used by most researchers. But depending upon the please pause. Please pause. But depending upon the availability and the reach to the infrastructure or the availability of the equipments present, we can use immunohistochemistry or the higher end equipments like NMR or the MSMS or anything else. The tissues most commonly used is skeletal muscle, but still a lot of research has been done on heart, brain, bone, kidney, and other organs. Next, please. But when we are talking of research, it is not only the cross-sectional studies which have been done. There are few researchers who have done the longitudinal studies also. They have used the bodies from the body farm. They have buried the body and taken the sequential sample of skeletal muscle to assess the time since death from proteomics. And they have actually decomposed the body to skeletonization and have taken the samples time to time at different postmortem interval and studied the behavior of protein and their degradation products with increasing time since death. So there have been longitudinal studies also. Next. This is another paper where the longitudinal study has been described by Pitner. Pitner has actually done a lot of work on proteomics. This again, he has taken male and female different bodies and taken samples at 60, 70 days of postmortem interval, then 45, 44 days of postmortem interval, and 121, 122 days of postmortem interval, and then studied the degradation of the protein accordingly and had made a scale out of it. Next. So far when you search the literature, there are different types of techniques that has been published and a lot of experiments in humans as well as in animals and lot of various methods of analyzing the proteins have been done. There has been use of ELISA, there has been use of Western blotting, there has been use of immunohistochemistry. So there has been a lot of changes, but when you look at the literature, most of these studies have been done in the Western world where the temperature is temperate. Where even the decomposition takes almost 5-6 days to appear, but and that is not actually correlatable or applicable. The same data cannot be relied upon to apply in our conditions or this environmental conditions like India, where the temperature or the climate is tropical. So in relation to our conditions and climates, we need our own research to use the proteomics as a baseline markers. So with that thought in mind, at AIIMS Bhopal, we are conducting a study to correlate the degradation of these proteins and correlate it with time since death. Next. So we are actually taking a skeletal muscle sample from vastus lateralis muscle, and vastus lateralis muscle mainly because it is, first of all, it is superficial and it is situated laterally to the body, so it does not affect the aesthetics of after taking out the sample, so the body is not distorted. And a small tissue sample is taken, vastus lateralis, and this is then frozen. Next. So basically, we are studying the protein vinculin, and we'll be seeing the degraded product of the vinculin with in cases with known time since death. So after taking out the protein sample or the muscle sample, we are actually cutting it into smaller pieces, then putting it in the microtubes, and then snap freezing it in the liquid nitrogen. And once it is snap frozen, it is actually stored under -80 degrees till it is further analyzed for protein degradation. Next. So once the sample collection is done, then we will be homogenizing the tissue and then going for protein analysis by a Western blot method. Any method can be used, but as I told you, Western blot method is cheaper and it's available in any laboratory. Any basic laboratory, biochemistry laboratory or microbiology laboratory will have a Western blot facilities available. Only thing required is basically the kit. And it also comes within 1 lakh rupees, so it is not very costly to analyze, and 1 lakh for almost 100 samples. So it is not very costly to try it out, and we can have even an intramural funds or the funds from the multidisciplinary research products that the CMR is now promoting. So we can have the funds from there and then start looking at this level of these proteins in the with no time since step. And then once the protein has been analyzed, we are looking at how degradation levels are appearing and disappearing. Then we have the data interpretation and then correlation of these changes with and I can urge all of you present there to take up these type of studies and have your baseline data so that the proteomics can be used in more ample way and can become a more objective finding based on the system. Next. So this is what we are expecting our results to be. So we will be looking at the native, the times till when the native protein vinculin lasts in the postmortem and how when the degradation products appear and when the degrading product disappears in the increasing times. So we'll be noting down the appearance and the disappearance of the degradation product and the native product and then correlating it with the times that with statistical analysis. Next. So now the question is, if we are doing it, is it doable at your settings? Yes, of course it is. It is not very costly. It is a very easy procedure and it can be done easily by the collaboration with the biochemistry or the microbiology department. If somebody is doing the Western blot technique or the ELISA, these studies can be easily done. Only it requires a bit study about or understanding about the procedure and the methodology and a little bit of funds. So now with government pushing up research in all the state medical colleges and the district medical colleges, these things are doable. And I do urge all of you to take up it at some level, small levels at your institutes and try it out. So, and the important thing is there's so much of need for it because as I told you, most of the research so far has been done in the Western countries also. Indian data is almost non-existent. So need exists and how much you get involved in these things matters. So if you get involved, naturally the results will come. Thank you. Next. Next. So thank you for patient listening and also to putting up with the technical glitches that this presentation caused. But if any questions are there, I'm willing to answer.
Mic.
Hello. Hello. Madam, am I audible to you?
Yes, you are.
Madam, actually, I am actually the chairperson, Dr. Satyasai Pandar. I want to just have a clarification. Means this process is in India. It is in a research state only.
Yes.
So far, not applicable. And Madam, I have a question. Actually, why did you select that only one vinculin? What was the logic behind the selection of that instead of so many you have already advocated?
Yes, I will tell you why. Because from the literature we saw that this was one protein which gave good results in the early postmortem interval. And when we are doing the basic research, we are just starting off with this research. I did not find any Indian papers on this before we started the research. So we took the protein which was likely to give us good results.
Okay.
Because this is the first time we are doing. So vinculin was promising in that way. And secondly, it is also cheap. The antibodies for vinculin were cheaper than the other things.
Yes.
So that is those things.
Madam, I would like to suggest actually we should do at least two proteins we should select because basic forensic because just it is my personal opinion. Basic forensic is actually Fajikosa has given a good quotation that unnum symptoma is nullum symptoma means one finding in forensic medicine. One finding is equivalent to nothing. So we always take one minimum two. So that's
we are trying to have sir antibodies available for other protein also, because we have already stored the samples. We are not yet reached the stage of analysis yet. So if we get the funds and we get the antibodies for other proteins also, we can do in the same sampling.
Yes, madam. Thank you, madam.
Yes,
And what
thank
will
you.
be the duration of your study, madam?
So it will be 1.5 years.
Okay.
There is one question.
Yeah, thank you,
from my
madam.
side.
Yeah.
Question is open to the house.
Ma'am, thank you very much for your very nice paper that you are choosing a new way of finding out the postmortem interval. But in your research, what you have done so far, can you please tell us something that what is the degradation rate or at what rate, how much time we can assign to that, or still it is under investigation?
It is still under investigation, sir. As I told you, I am just now, we are in the stage of collecting the samples and freezing it. Because as I told you, the thing depends upon the kit. And one kit, when you use one kit, it's usually economical to have all the samples run together. So to have a budget, because in India we always have a budget constraint, so we are waiting for all the samples to be collected and then we will be running it at one go.
Ma'am, you in your presentation you told about a case when the body was in the water or probably something,
Yes.
and the other parameters could not do it, but this did it. But don't you think that when other parameters gets frozen, when the temperature will be very less, even the degradation of the proteins will be very less in those cases,
Yes.
and that may also not be applicable in those circumstances.
It will be applicable. See, it will be applicable. Only thing is, it will not be reflecting the same PMI, but relatively it will be reflecting. In this case also, although it did not, I don't think the paper reflected how many days the postmortem interval was, but it did say that the female had died first, earlier than the male. So that relativity of the cases when dietetic deaths or multiple deaths are there, that relativity which died first and which died next in the similar circumstances, that is more useful, which we cannot do with the conventional methods also.
Okay.
As a
Thank
one more
you very much.
question,
Thank
as
you
a
very much.
chairperson.
Yes.
Madam, as a chairperson, Dr. Akhilesh Agarwal, there is one question, whether these findings will be legally acceptable for estimation of time since death?
Why not, sir? If you are giving a scientific reasoning to all the findings you are telling, if you are publishing the papers, if you are publishing the Indian data, why will it not be accepted?
Okay, it will take a lot of time to be legally acceptable. Another question is, that if the patient has died due to myocardial infarction, his troponin level will be very high at the moment of death. Then how the troponin will help in the estimation of time since death?
Cardiac muscle will be more. It will not be more in the skeletal muscle. So what sampling you are taking, what PMI you are taking, all that will depend.
Okay.
So troponin level will be increased in cardiac muscle, definitely, but not in the skeletal muscle.
Thank you, madam, for a very enlightening talk, in opening a new frontier for estimation of time since death by forensic proteomics. Thank you once again, madam, for your wonderful and intelligent talk.
To again thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now it is my pleasure to invite respected Dr. Pradeep Vedeshwar sir to felicitate our chairperson, Dr. Satya Sai Panda sir and Dr. Akhilesh Agrawal sir. So please come on stage.
ये तो म्यूटेड है इसीलिए क्या ये पहनना पड़ेगा ना एपिसोड
Thank you so much, sir. The speaker certificate will be delivered on their mail. Uh, Thank you so much, sir. The next session, now we are going to start our next session. The next session will be chaired by respected Dr. Vasant Nayak, sir, Professor and Head, College of Kutbulla, Hyderabad, and respected Dr. Kailash Jine, sir, Professor at Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar. Sir, please come on stage.
Yes. Hello. Hello.
Forensic medicine, where science speaks the language of law. It forms the foundation upon which governance legal system rely to ensure truth, accountability, and justice. By integrating medical expertise with the law of governance, forensic medicine not only supports judicial decisions but also safeguard human rights and the role of law. The conference serves as a global platform to strengthen the vital connection through the knowledge, research, and collaboration. We move to the next session. Our next speaker. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, respected Dr. Imran Sabri, sir.
मैम चैट के क्वेश्चन
अभी
कर दो
अभी
ये वाला
वो तो हो गया ना
Joining us virtually, respected Imran Sabri, sir.
Yes.
I request our chairperson to introduce Dr. Imran Sabri, sir.
क्वेश्चंस है ना वो कुछ कर दो मैं डाल दूंगी जल्दी के लिए
Today, I'm introducing to Dr. Imran Sabri, MD FRCP, founder head of e-learning unit, College of Medicine, King Faisal University, AI Asha, Saudi Arabia. So, good morning, sir. At the same time, today.
क्वेश्चन आप फॉरवर्ड कर दीजिए मैम ये सीमा मैम
And today, sir is presenting on expert in forensic medicine and quality assurance in forensic medicine and faculty development folks.
इसको दे
Thank you.
नंबर
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me pleasure to present here at a great moment. So my slide is visible?
पेज मिले तो उसमें नहीं है
Yes, sir, it is visible. Okay.
So first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Seema Sutay and her team for motivating us to do something, because this idea was coming from us in the last meeting to do some efforts for quality assurance in forensic medicine. It's time to talk about the quality.
Okay,
So Dr. Seema motivated me a lot to have a presentation on quality assurance. So I tried to gather some information about qualitative processes that is involved in the quality assurance processes. Although when we talk in terms of the quality, many times we are afraid. Quality assurance is a kind of fearful job for us. So the fear is just because we don't know many things that raises the fear inside us. So in our practices, if we are doing the standards and standard protocols are followed, then there is nothing to fear about our work. In this presentation, I'll try to dig out some points that are important and relevant at this point of time. When we talk in terms of the quality assurance in forensic medicine, we sometimes use the term protocols, validation, and accuracy, evidence, standards. So these are some of the terms that we must be aware while talking or discussing the quality assurance in forensic medicine. So, what idea came to my mind that how to start is how to start this presentation is to follow some of the discrepancies that is there in medical legal casework.
Hello.
So discrepancies means when two people are doing the same task, they are doing at different standards. Discrepancies may arise due to variation of timings, examination, interpretations, and availability of ancillary investigations, evaluation of the injuries, and post-mortem changes. So, multiple levels we can have discrepancies in our casework. So, I have categorized these into various categories, like first is the human examination related. So, or examination related temporal factors sometimes involved, injury, pathology, investigative history, technical documentation. Sometimes we have external influences, then opinion and interpretation issues, and sometimes environmental issues and post-event factors. So I will give briefly overview of all these. So while talking of human examiner related discrepancies, we have some inadequate experience or training of the medical officer. Sometimes the new medical officers do their task with their own experiences, and which is obvious that it is different when a person of 4 or 5 years are doing it. The discrepancy may arise that this is because maybe inadequacy of the experience. So I can say that a 10 years experienced person must be more mature in conducting the task as compared to 1 year or maybe a fresh person. So this may raise some discrepancies. Then we have error of observation. Sometimes we interpret missed injuries, missed interpretations are there. Faulty documentation, sometimes that maybe the documentation that we prepare, the reports that are not very accurate, and our writing on the report is not very standard. So sometimes we have a bias or preconceived opinions. For example, if some case came to us and we have the news of that this was an accident, okay, and we are biased at this stage that we are going for the examination with a preoccupied mind that it was a case of accident. Although we must be evidence based, we should not be biased. We first see the case. Maybe this was not an accident. This is a case of murder. So why we preoccupied with this idea or opinion that influences our interpretation? Time pressure. we have time pressure, quickly doing the things. We have limited because we have maybe 5, 10 autopsies at the same time. Failure to correlate with the history. Basically, we at forensic department, we do not take the proper history of the case, and we are based on the evidence-based findings that is there. So lacking history sometimes we have some discrepancies. Different experts interpret the same findings in a different manner. So sometimes one expert may interpret something else, second expert may interpret something else. This leads to a discrepancy. Like in this particular case, I just want to emphasize on discrepancy in our reports. So, what in this case, particular case, what may be the cause of death in this case? So, one opinion might say that craniocerebral trauma indicates accident, trip, or fall may be there. Another interpretation can say strangulation marks or foul play. So, in this case, this kind of discrepancy may occur, and this is not because both the findings are there in this case. So now maybe some experts are of the opinion that number one is the cause of death, and some are of the opinion that the number second is the cause of death, main cause of death. So this may arise if two experts do the same task, they might land up in different cause of death. This is one of the example that I want to emphasize. And of course, both are correct because both are examining the case and both have their own opinions. So we cannot say that they are wrong. Okay. So, and in order to, and if we want to prove it, then there's accountability is to be fixed. Then when there is wrong, they must be accountable for that. Now, the second portion is examination related factors like incomplete examination. We do some external examination, not fully examine the case, poor lighting or suboptimal examination condition. We are facing these kind of issues in our postmortem house. Failure to use appropriate tools. Sometimes we do not have proper tools to examine. Examination conducted at different times. So the injury may involve during this period. Examination protocols. So there is no standard examination protocols like ABCD, for example. We do step 1, step 2, step 3 for a particular thing. Or we can say that we are lacking some standard operational procedure protocol that is a must for the examination of the related cases. Temporal factors include delay between incidents and the examination. So, because of the workload and number of cases, we might have some delays. I can witness that in Agra when I worked at Agra. So there was a case for postmortem, and that was delayed for 2 days, maybe at least, just because the file is moving here and there. So it causes some discrepancy. Post-mortem interval changes, decomposition arises because of this, and that leads to a false interpretation. Medical intervention before examination, sometimes we have surgery, suturing, we can misinterpret as injuries of the cause of death. Healing or fading of injuries over time. Sometimes, so before the death, the injury started healing, and then stops once the person is died. Post-mortem artifact may sometimes be taken as the injuries. Some pathology related may be overlapping injury pattern, like accidents or versus homicide. So of the injuries. So I can give you example. Yesterday, one of the doctor presenting the case of snake bite, and wow, in that abdomen, pre-existing injuries or old scars sometimes may be there.